Zara pressed her back against the cold metal wall of the abandoned station as footsteps echoed through the corridor. Her purple skin had faded to a dull gray from weeks without proper nutrition, and her once bright silver eyes now held only fear. The Keth Empire had branded her a traitor for refusing to participate in their latest conquest, and now she was alone in the vast emptiness of space. The human colony ship had docked at the station 3 days ago for emergency repairs. Zara had watched from the shadows as the strange bipedal creatures moved about with purpose. Their leader, Captain Jake Miller, seemed different from the other species she had encountered. He moved with confidence but without the cruelty that marked most spacefaring races. When the Keth hunters arrived at the station, Zara knew her time was up. She had nowhere left to run. The hunters were methodical in their search, moving from sector to sector with their energy scanners. Zara could hear them getting closer, their heavy boots making the deck plates vibrate. She closed her eyes and tried to calm her racing hearts. The Keth would not grant her a quick death. They would drag her back to face public execution as an example to others who might dare question their way. Her species, the Villani, had been subjugated for over 2 centuries, and rebellion was met with swift punishment. A soft sound made her open her eyes. A human male stood at the end of the corridor looking directly at her. He was tall, with brown hair and kind eyes that seemed to see right through her fear. His name was Ryan Collins, and he was the ship's chief engineer. Ryan had been exploring the station when he heard the commotion. He quickly understood that someone was being hunted, and his human instincts kicked in. When he saw Zara cowering in the shadows, he felt something stir in his chest. The alien woman looked terrified and alone. Without hesitation, Ryan moved toward her, keeping his movements slow and non-threatening. He could see she was injured, with dark blood seeping through tears in her clothing. Her breathing was rapid and shallow, suggesting panic. The sound of the hunters grew louder, and Ryan made a decision that would change both their lives. He reached out his hand to Zara, speaking in the universal trade language that most spacefaring species understood. "Come with me," he said quietly. "I can help you." Zara stared at this human who offered aid to a stranger. His expression held no malice, no calculation, just genuine concern. She had heard stories about humans from other species. Some called them weak. Others said they were unpredictable, but none had mentioned this quality, this willingness to help without expecting anything in return. The hunters' voices echoed closer now, and Zara had to choose: trust this unknown human or face certain death. She reached out and took his hand. Ryan led her through a maintenance tunnel that connected to his ship's docking bay. He moved quickly, but checked often to make sure she could keep up. When they reached his quarters, he sealed the door and activated the privacy protocols. "You are safe here," he said, helping her sit on his bunk. "The hunters cannot scan this area." Zara looked around the small room. It was simple but clean, with personal items that spoke of a life beyond duty. She noticed pictures of what must be his family and books about engineering. Her own people had lost such luxuries long ago, under Keth rule. "Why are you helping me?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. Ryan sat across from her, maintaining respectful distance. "Because you needed help," he replied, as if it was the most natural thing in the universe. Over the next few hours, Ryan tended to her injuries with medical supplies from his emergency kit. He was gentle and careful, explaining each step so she would not be afraid. Zara had never experienced such kindness from any being. The ship preparations were complete, and Captain Miller announced they would be departing. Soon Ryan knew he had to make another choice. He could drop Zara at the next neutral port, or he could find a way for her to stay. When he explained the situation to his captain, Jake Miller surprised him. The captain listened to the story, and then simply nodded. "We have room for one more," he said, "and we could use someone with her technical background in stellar cartography." Zara could not believe what she was hearing. These humans were offering her not just safety, but a new life. Ryan had told them about her education and skills, and they were willing to trust her based on his word alone. As the ship departed the station, Zara stood in the observation deck watching the stars. Ryan joined her, and they stood in comfortable silence. "I do not understand your people," she said finally. "You gain nothing from helping me yet. You risk your own safety." Ryan smiled, that gentle expression that was becoming familiar to her. Helping others is not about gain. He explained. It is about doing what is right. In the weeks that followed, Zara slowly adapted to life among the humans. She worked alongside their navigation team and found that her knowledge of this region of space was valuable, but more than that, she found acceptance. The crew treated her as an equal. They shared meals with her, included her in conversations, and never made her feel like an outsider. Ryan checked on her daily, making sure she had everything she needed. One evening, as they traveled through a particularly beautiful nebula, Zara found Ryan in the engineering section. He was working late again, troubleshooting a minor issue with the life support systems. "You work too much," she said, settling beside him. He looked up and smiled. "I could say the same about you." They had grown comfortable with each other over the weeks, and Zara found herself looking forward to these quiet moments. The humans had shown her kindness, but Ryan had shown her something more. "I have been thinking," she said, watching him work about my homeworld. Ryan set down his tools and gave her his full attention. "My people live in fear under the Keth Empire." She continued. "They accept subjugation because they believe it is better than death. But seeing your people, seeing how you live with dignity and choice, I wonder if there might be another way you want to go back," Ryan said, understanding immediately. "Not to surrender," she replied, "but to show them what I have learned. To show them that there are allies in the universe who believe in freedom." Ryan nodded slowly. "It would be dangerous. The Keth would not welcome human intervention in their territory." Zara looked at him with hope in her silver eyes. "Would your people consider it? Would they help free an entire world of people they have never met?" Ryan was quiet for a long moment, then he smiled. "That sounds exactly like something we would do." Months later, the human fleet arrived at Velan Prime. The sight of dozens of human ships dropping out of hyperspace sent shockwaves through the Keth occupation forces. They had expected to face a primitive species, but the humans brought technology and tactics the Keth had never encountered. The liberation of Velan Prime was swift, but the real work came after. The humans helped establish a new government based on principles of freedom and self-determination. They shared technology and knowledge freely, asking for nothing in return but friendship. Zara stood in the capital city of her homeworld, watching as children played in streets that had been silent for generations. Human engineers worked alongside Velani workers, rebuilding what had been destroyed. The sight filled her heart with joy. Ryan found her there as the sun set over the city, painting the sky in brilliant colors. "Thank you," she said, taking his hand, "for saving not just me but all of us." Ryan squeezed her hand gently, looking out over the bustling city. "We saved each other," he replied, as they stood together, watching her people embrace their freedom. Zara realized that being left with nothing had led her to everything. The human who had wrapped her in his arms had given her back her world and shown her that the universe was full of possibilities. The stars above them seemed brighter now, full of hope and promise. And in the growing twilight, two very different species stood as friends, proving that compassion knows no boundaries. Captain Miller approached them with a smile on his weathered face. "The first trade agreements are being signed," he reported. "Your people are eager to join the galactic community as free beings." Zara nodded, feeling tears of joy in her eyes. For the first time in centuries, her people would stand as equals among the stars. And it was all because one human had chosen kindness over indifference. The future stretched out before them, bright with possibility.